Let me ask you what you think is going to happen. Will we see an immediate change in the way that blacks, whites, browns, people of all color get along, or is this something that's going to take a while?
You know, I think we've already seen the beginning of the change. I think that our society now understands, facing these monumental challenges that we have socially, economically, and even politically, and even spiritually in this country, that the only way we're going to survive is to follow the model of collegiality that has been set forth by our leader, President Obama.
Now, of course, for some members of our generation, we thought this is a day that perhaps we would never see. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white. A lot of people of the baby boomer generation and beyond said, it's not going to happen in my lifetime.
I didn't think it was going to happen in my lifetime, nor did I really think it could happen in my children's lifetime, because my daughters are in their mid-20s. But I was hopeful that it could happen one day. I'm tremendously gratified to know that it did happen in my lifetime and that it could be an example for my children and my grandchildren. Now, I have daughters, but I believe an extension of Obama's victory means that perhaps one day a woman could be president, and perhaps even a black woman.
And you know, it's interesting that she would say that, because for many women, they say, wait a minute, you know, it's certainly for Black Americans a tribute that Barack Obama has been elected, but women are saying, wait, we could be elected too. Let's not forget us.
Absolutely.
I think that's a fair statement, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. But Hillary Clinton also showed us that as well when she ran in the primary, that you can be a woman, you can be anything you want to be at this point. In terms of race relations in this country and Barack Obama, I don't think that this will end racism in any kind of way. I think that racism is going to adapt to what's really the times. Pretty much is going to modernize itself.
You know, as modern as we are, in 2008, there were people who said Barack Obama could not get elected. And not only did he get elected, but he did it in a pretty decisive way.
And I think that people did not think that he can be elected because of lack of talent or education or ability, but they did not believe America was ready. And from a generational perspective, I can remember sitting in classrooms thinking, wow, I can, or one of my friends can be the first black president. So I sort of saw it coming from my generation, but what surprised and shocked me is that my mother, my grandmother, is alive today to see that. That is something that truly surprised me. I never doubted that it would happen or that I would see it. But what really touched me and did it for me was my grandmother still being around to see that. That was just awesome.
Let's talk a little bit about the internet and the way that got the message of change across to Americans of all generations, not just the young guys, but us as well.
Well, I think that the internet has served as a communications vehicle, an information vehicle that perhaps the major media was not prepared for or ready for. And I think that the way information is now available in a way that previously it had not been. I mean, there were just a belief system, I think, that the American public wasn't ready for whatever they thought. And I have to say that these are older white men who were coming from their own perspective. And that's what happens. People have their own belief system based on their lives. But when you get outside of this little box and now you're in an avenue where you're getting all the stream of information and no one has control over it, then things can happen. And I think that's what happened
Do
here.
you see, though, the older white gentleman that Rhonda's referring to out in the Midwest checking out Barack Obama? I mean, did something that they read on the internet change their minds about electing a black man, or was it just that particular African American that seemed to be appealing?
You know, there are many different, ideas about what ingratiated Barack Obama into the hearts and minds of the American people. I would have to say that Barack Obama is a breath of fresh air. He's someone who has come along with a message that this country has been yearning for a very long time. Of course, the internet did help. No question about it. The internet, I think, made Barack Obama's message far more accessible. He was able to utilize it in a way that nobody else has. But it was his message more so than it was the person or the avenue by which the message was conveyed.
Well, that's interesting, because I was going to ask you if he's a breath of fresh air because he's just someone different and approaches things differently. Is it necessarily he's a breath of fresh air because he's black?
No.
I would say, and if I can speak spiritually for a second, I truly believe that this was just ordained. When you look at just what happened, the economy, everything that could possibly happen for a new candidate what's happening in this country. Anything that was relevant to just change everything was playing into his favor. And I think the straw that truly broke the camel's back was when Wall Street, crashed. I think that, this was just like the dream campaign.